Hello, hello, PRT students. We're now working on Chapter 1, Lesson 2 on complex fractions with those unit rates. Complex fraction is one of our new vocabulary words, and right here it's underlined for you. It means fractions that have a fraction in the numerator or the denominator, or maybe even both. It's like a fraction inside of a fraction. We're going to work to simplify them when we know we have left with only whole numbers. That's all we want left. We do not want to have a fraction inside of a fraction anymore. So one thing you should already know is that when you see a fraction bar, it means the same thing as division. So we're going to be doing a lot of dividing with fractions, which you guys should be able to be comfortable with, no problem. And we're going to use them also to find the unit rates like you did in Chapter 1, Lesson 1. And we're going to use them to convert percents into fractions, which you have seen before, but now we're going to do it from a complex fraction. So we're going to break these notes into the 3 types of things that you're going to be asked to do. So first, just simplify a complex fraction that's given to you. In this case, we see 6 over the 1/2. This big fraction bar is where we are going to put our division sign. So we are going to work it out as 6 divided by 1/2. So you should know that that 6 becomes a fraction by putting it over 1. And we change division to multiplication and flip over the second sign. So when we multiply across, we get 12 over 1, which is just 12. And remember what that means. That means we can fit 12 halves into 6 wholes, which if you visualize that, each whole has 2 halves in it, so that makes sense. All right, follow that process by pushing pause in the video and try to simplify the complex fraction 2/3 over 3/4. Once you have it, push continue and see how you did. All right, that one would be read as 2/3 divided by 3/4. The 2/3 stays the same, division becomes multiplication, and this becomes 4/3. So we multiply straight across, we have 8/9, no negatives to worry about, and no simplifying to do. The next type of thing you might have to do is to find a unit rate from the word problems. When you do that, the number one important thing I want you to focus on right now is to follow the order of the words. It's going to be something per something, as all unit rates are. And the order that the rate is given, the something per something, is the order that you're going to set up your complex fraction. So this says miles per hour, which means miles has to be the first number that I'm going to work with, in other words, the numerator, and the hour is going to be the second number we work with, or in other words, the denominator. So if we look up above, we see that the numerator, miles, is 1 1/3. And the denominator, hours, is 1/4. So there's my highlighter to mark them out there for you. That goes with that, and that goes with that. So since the problem says miles per hour, I'm going to put miles over the hours. So I'm going to do the miles, 1 1/3, over the hours of 1/4. Do not just take the numbers in the order they appear in the problem. Follow the order of what's actually asked of you. So from here, I can see that this is where my division sign would be. So I'm going to work it out as 1 1/3 divided by 1/4. Remember, you have to have improper fractions with mixed numbers. So that's going to be 4/3 divided by 1/4. Alert, alert, alert. Do not cross simplify here. No cross simplifying in division. I'm going to even write that as a reminder to you because I've seen students still doing that. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite it as 4/3 times 4 over 1. So I will get 16/3. Since we're going to talk about it like a real way that people would talk about it because of the question with Josiah, we would say that his speed is 5 1/3 miles per hour. Or he goes, I have to write it over here on the side because my screen is out. So he goes 5 1/3 miles per hour because that's what 16/3 is. All right, rewind or rewatch that if you need to hear any of that explanation. Otherwise, if you feel comfortable, then go ahead and do the you try and we'll come back and check ourselves. All right, it was miles over hours again, and this time it did match the order of the numbers in the problem. So we put 4 1/2 over 1 1/2, which is 9 halves divided by 3 halves. When I changed it to multiply by the reciprocal, I got this. You could cross simplify. I went ahead and went straight across because 18 and 6 are small numbers and easy to divide. Also, I wanted to point out that this is one of those special division problems that just so happens that both the numerators and the denominators do divide nicely. Remember, that is an option. If both do divide nicely, you can divide straight across. So we would have gotten 3 over 1 and that's the other way we could have gotten 3. Just be careful of that because it's very rare, or sometimes students think that if it was written the other way, like a 3 here and a 9 here, they think that that accidentally equals 3, but that is not correct. 3 divided by 9 is not 3. So just be careful with that, but that's something you can always keep in mind. For our last example, you just need to remember that percents are always out of what? Always out of 100. So let's make that mark and just say percents always out of 100. The reason why that's important is because so many times we have students just take this percent and then they just make it an improper fraction and say 99 plus 1, 100 thirds, and then they say that's the answer. But that is not, because they never did anything with the percent sign. So we are going to write the 33 and 1/3 percent over 100, because that's what percents are. So then when I treat this as my division sign right here, I have 33 and 1/3 divided by 100, which means 100 thirds divided by 100. And there, that would be multiplied by the reciprocal, so times 1/100th. There I can see that these can cross simplify, and I will come out to get 1/3. So 33 and 1/3 percent is worth 1/3 as a fraction. Also, this is a nice one where if I had put this over 1, I could have divided straight across. 100 divided by 100 is 1, and 3 divided by 1 is 3. So there's an option for you, but that's the key thing. Always write it over 100. Do not just stop when you make it improper. Right, you have 1 you try left. Push pause on the video and try it and come back and check yourself. All right, there's your answer. Notice I put the 12.5 over 100, which means I divided it by 100. That became 25 halves divided by 100, which multiplies by the reciprocal. I did cross simplify, and your final answer is 1/8. That's it, you're all done.